Alright, here we are, starting off with our blue player, as is tradition. Going to have the vampire counts. Going to have skeleton warriors. Looks like 4 of them. 2 crypt ghouls. Going to have 2 black knights and 2 blood knights. Up in the air, going to have a healthy number of fell bats, just 2, to be accompanying their flying lord, who we will come back to in just a moment. Because still on the field is a necromancer on foot. Necromancer is going to be here in the center. Going to have Rod of Corruption and the zombie summon. Also going to have, is that Master of the Undead? Yeah, Master of the Dead. You need to drink some water, friend. You sound parched. And then over here, we have a black coach, one of my favorite damn units in the game. Got this restless soul back here in the coffin. Just, hey, let me out of here. And then up here in the air, the Strigoi Vampire Lord on top of the Terrorgeist. He is going to be bringing quite a hefty kit by the looks of it. Let's see. Oops. We're going to have the Claws of Morcaine for that plus 50% armor-piercing weapon damage. We're also going to be seeing Command of the Unliving with summons for Crypt Ghouls. And I believe if it's Overcast, you even get a Crypt Horror. Yes, indeed you do. Going to have Invocation of the Heck, Spirit Leech, and of course that Death Leech, which comes with the Terrorgeist. Now for the Empire. In red, we're going to have Spearmen with Shields. Looks like 5 of them making up that front line. Then going to see 1, 2, 3 units of Flagellants. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4 units of Free Company Militia. And then we have 3 Halberdiers in the back. Single Knights and Knights of the Blazing Sun holding down the center with a Bright Wizard. Bright Wizard is going to be bringing the Burning Head, Flaming Sword of Ruin, Fireball, and Kindle Flame. And then for the remainder of this army, we have an artillery piece, a single great cannon. And then we're going to be looking down here at Volkmar the Grim, a popular pick in this matchup. Unbreakable. He is going to have magic damage and fire damage. Going to be seeing Grand Soulfire, Grand Shield of Faith, Hammer of Sigmar, Banishment, Jade Griffin, and Benediction. Now that rounds out both players' armies. It's time to see what happens from here. Alright, so Vampire is going to be pushing out. Cannon's going to open fire. And it looks like it's targeting the Black Coach, which is not going to dodge those initial shots. And it looks like it's now alert and will be microed to avoid those incoming cannonballs. Fireball coming in for the Strigoi Vampire Lord. He's going to get shot with the cannonball too. Going to take that fireball right on the chin. Got to keep in mind these Terrorgeist do have a weakness to fire since they have regeneration. Right, Empire going to continue just poking away at the vampire counts. Going to be targeting the Lord with the cannons, Free Company Militia Fire, and fireballs as they become available. And the vampire player is just going to be patiently moving his army forward. Strigoi, oh, almost got the dodge, but unfortunately he's going to take it right there in the undercarriage of the Terrorgeist. Undercarriage, strange word choice. Anyways, Bright Wizard getting Spirit Leeched right now by the Strigoi Vampire Lord. And without any healing, you know, all the damage he takes, he will keep, unlike the Vampire Lord. Over here, the Vampire is doing what they do best, which is walk very slowly. Closing that distance. Black Coach moving way over here, along with the Knights. And, you know, at this point, it's just very clear the Vampire player trying to get his positioning down. And, in just a moment, the front lines will be within range of each other. And Free Company Militia should start getting out some good damage against the lightly armored skeletons and zombies. There's another Spirit Leech on top of the Bright Wizard. And losing that Bright Wizard early on will be a very painful thing for the Empire. So, gotta watch out. There was another fireball. Oh, look at it. He was able to dodge that one. That fireball veering off harmlessly into the distance. Now it does look like Volkmar the Grim is going to be coming out to play. Free Company Militia opening fire into the skeletons. And the Spearmen coming out to intercept. Summon of Crypt Ghouls coming down on top of these Free Company Militia. Fireball hitting the Strigoi Vampire Lord, doing quite a lot of damage, and the cannonballs continuing to poke away at him. He's going to need to heal himself sooner rather than later, no doubt. Right here, Bright Wizard, another Spirit Leech on top of him. Volkmar the Grim having a field day against this cheap infantry from the Vampire Counts. And in the back lines, it does look like the Vampire Counts trying to make a concerted effort to get their Black Knights into the Jushi rear. Some Blood Knights coming in for a nice charge on top of the Flagellants. Flagellants don't really pose any threat to them since they are unarmored and don't do any armor piercing to speak of. Over here, Skeleton Warriors getting eliminated by Volkmar with that Grand Soulfire. Over here, Strigoi Vampire Lord, though, taking an opportunity, and look at that Bright Wizard terror routing. He is routing. He's very close to a shatter, I would imagine. I'm not sure if he's going to survive this because one more Spirit Leech should knock him out for the count. You know, he's at 468 HP. It's likely it would kill him. Black Coach, though, in the backline, stuck in combat with Halberdiers, taking a ton of damage, but there goes an invocation from the heck, and he's right back to running around, which is what he's supposed to be doing. Get that good 78 speed, no need for him to be in combat with Halberdiers. Black Knights continuing to wreak havoc in the back lines. Strigoi Vampire Lord, though, oh, Knights of the Blazing Sun are on top of him. And that summon doesn't look like it's going to catch all of them. And they do fire damage, which is going to have a bonus versus him. But most importantly, they're keeping him on the ground. If they can keep him on the ground, then the Empire could win it right here. But they need to keep him on the ground. Oh no, he's going to get up. He's going to get up. Yep, he's out of there. So Vampire, Strigoi Vampire Lord going to live to fight another day. Volkmar the Grim going to turn around, turn his attention back to the task on hand, which is clearing out zombies and fellbats. And honestly, getting rid of this Necromancer will be a nice pickup for the Empire too, if they can do so. Over here, the Black Knights are getting dragged down by the Halberdiers. Halberdiers really not having to worry about too much. The Crypt Ghouls haven't seemed to be able to get through the frontline engagements into the backline to start shutting down Halberdiers and units like that. Well, this one's pretty healthy and is over here taking down the Spearmen, but yeah, right now, to me, it looked like the Empire's in a strong position. Strigoi Vampire Lord is taking a lot of damage. Necromancer is taking a ton of damage. Looks like he's going to be knocked out here, crumbling, run over by Volkmar the Grim. And Black Coach, it's still doing okay, but where's the Vampire Lord? Did he die? Oh, no, no, he's way out here. Just not even wanting anything to do with any of that combat, chasing down the Bright Wizard, who is somehow still alive. I mean, we gotta give him some credit there. This is a terrifying chase, to be sure. That poor, poor horse. But yeah, all the while he's chasing units down in the peripheries, over here, his Blood Knights and Black Knights aren't supported with Invocation of the Hex. Knights of the Blazing Sun are continuing to just wreak havoc because their mass combined with the armor-piercing bonus, which is large of the halberds, is a devastating combination. It's making it really hard for the vampire counts to cycle charge freely. Flagellants and Crypt Ghouls getting into combat. And at the very least, even if the Flagellants lose the combat, they have tied up these Crypt Ghouls, and that means the halberds are really in a strong position at this stage of the game. Let's look at all of this Empire State Troop infantry, just ready to soak up damage and dish them out, because pretty much everything the vampires have left is not going to do well against spearmen and halberds. And then you still have a few flagellants intermingled with the units in here, which is going to provide that leadership boon because they are unbreakable. Over here, Knights of the Blazing Sun wheeling around, getting a rear charge into the Crypt Ghouls, finishing them off, helping the flagellants take as little damage as possible in that combat. And now Empire, I think, should just start grouping up. There's really no reason for Volkmar the Grim to be out here in combat with Blood Knights unsupported. But, I mean, Grand Soulfire are going to delete the remainder of the Black Knights. Black Knights, okay, they're gone. Banishment looks like it might even finish them off. And oh no, they're running into the Banishment. Eesh. Those guys, 391 HP. Volkmar just being a boss. And oh no. My bad. Yeah, Volkmar needs to get back over here with his infantry, no doubt about it. Because the only way the vampires are going to win is with terror routes. And even if it seems unlikely now, you know, you don't want to give them that chance. Blood Knights getting into an engagement with the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Infantry support is nearby, though, so those Blood Knights are probably in for a world of hurt. Yeah, damage definitely going down on top of the Empire Knights here, but as you can see, just with all that infantry support, looks like they're going to come out on top. Uh-oh, Blood Knights over here, though, coming in for a rear charge into the Empire State Troops. Big hit. Oh, here comes a Black Coach to support it. And oh no, there goes the terror route. Is this going to be a turning point? Can the vampires get some momentum going with some terror routes from this Black Coach? Right now, not looking the most positive. Over here, Knights of the Blazing Sun taking a breath from the Strigoi Vampire Lord. Okay, now Volkmar is back in the mix, and this should provide enough of a leadership bonus to keep any of these guys from terror routing. Over here, Strigoi Vampire Lord in combat with the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and now he's pinned in place, unsupported. All of the infantry from the Empire is coming in. He did summon some Crypt Ghouls, and look at that, the Knights of the Blazing Sun, just like that, getting terror routed. And that should allow the Strigoi Vampire Lord an opportunity to escape. But really, what really matters here in the end is that these Blood Knights are just going to have a really hard time killing off all these halberds. But I'm not going to lie, with a few really good rear charges like this, it could happen. It can happen, and the Crypt Ghouls now, their leadership stabilized with the Blood Knights charge. Here comes the terror aspect. It just doesn't look like the terror is kicking in like it needs to here. And oh, there goes another Grand Soulfire. And bada bing, bada boom. We're going to see him wavering, crumbling on top of the Blood Knights. And the Empire, led by MaximusDecimus, is going to defeat AC Moore and the Undead. The goose is cooked. So yeah, I mean, Blood Knights did do well. didn't pay for themselves considering they're 1,700 to bring. But Black Coach doing well too. I mean, I just think the play here from AC Moore almost backfired a bit by having the Strigoi Vampire Lord out there by himself for so long and walking everything else up. It almost seems like that kind of backfired because the Strigoi Vampire Lord took so much damage throughout that entire battle. I mean, he did eventually kill off the Bright Wizard, which was very nicely done, but I mean, you guys saw it. By the time the main engagements began, he was down to like a third of his health. And granted, he heals it back up again and all of that, but it just seems like his Lord wasn't as healthy as he needed to be when the opportunity started arising for him to dive in and get in real combat. But maybe I'm just imagining that. All things considered, though, just mixed unit tactics on full display here. Volkmar to go out, he's super tanky, just smash infantry, smash units that blob up on top of him, act like a huge boon to all the leadership across the board. Bright Wizard to snipe down, Strigoi Vampire Lord with fireballs, ideally to get burning heads, and Flaming Swords of Ruins in there too, but the Spirit Leech play was on point, and then the Vampire Lord did do a good job sniping him out. Knights of the Blazing Sun MVP for me right there. The cannon also doing a ton of value, but I mean, just across the board, this unbreakable infantry is so key to help hold this leadership together for these state troops that are often easily routed. And look at this, every single halberd paying for himself and more. But yeah, great game to both of these guys, and excited to see what happens in round 2. Turning off the camera. On the blocker, Castle Drakenhof is the map. Oh, it's the second one's after too much coffee. Exactly. I will not just crash. All right, going to our red player this time since it's round 2. Going to see 3 Saurus Warriors with shields. Going to see the cohort of Sotek, 2 Chameleon Skinks. We're then going to see 4 Cold One Spear Riders. A lot of bonus versus large armor piercing cav right here. And we're also going to be looking at 3 Pterodons in the air for some skirmish potential on top of the Chameleon Skinks. We have a Skink Priest of Heavens with Wind Blast and Harmonic Convergence, and then Krokgar on top of a Horn. Oh, no, Cold One. He's going to have Hand of the Gods and Sacred Spawning, a Hexawat, or Zohodl. Xootl. I think I'm saying that right. Anyways, other than that, I think it rounds out the Lizardman army. Yeah, that's it. Now, going over here to the Empire, let's see what they've decided to try to take on the Lizardman forces with. It looks like we're going to have some Spearmen action. Looks like 5 Spearmen with shields in total. Going to have 2 Swordsmen, one of them being the unbreakable Sigmar Sons. We have the Royal Author of Griffites, and then some just regular old Demogryph Knights. Going to have a Jade Wizard on a horse here with Regrowth, Earthblood, Life Bloom, and the Power Stone. And then up in the air, we're going to have Karl Franz with Garl Maraz, the Reikland Runefang, stand your ground, Foe Seeker, hold the line, and of course Blood Roar since he is on his mount Deathclaw. And then guess what? I saved the best for last because we have 3 War Wagons, ladies and gents. Time to see how they do here. They are tailor-made to deal with dinos running just in front of them as they shoot them down with these armor-piercing bullets. And even nicer is that they provide a lot of mass and can actually act as a nice net almost to pin the dinosaur in place. But against Cold One Spear Riders, they may have a harder time. Cold One Spear Riders are not known for their speed, though. That's the Horned Ones. GZX, it's going wonderful. Good to see you, my friend. This is the second semifinal of the day. Alright, War Wagons coming out. Going to be targeting these Pterodon Riders to begin. Alright, both players playing this cautiously. Empire letting their shielded infantry in the front do all of the talking, and Wind Blast going down, doing some nice damage to the swordsman, but it was a little bit miscast in the sense that it didn't have the, you know, the widest piece of the breath attack hitting the infantry at all, which is the piece that does the most damage. Over here, Saurus Warriors, Warriors and Empire Spearmen and Swordsmen all getting into combat in the frontline engagements now. Demogryph Knights still hanging out in the back line. War Wagons targeting the Cold One Spear Riders. Over here, talk about threading the needle. The Lizardmen trying to pull through this very narrow gap, but going to get broadsided by Demogryph Knights. And the Empire needs to send these Spearmen in, which they currently are. And just like that, that's going to be a nasty engagement for all of this Lizardmen large units. However, the Cohort of Sotek is coming in from the back line. We'll see if that helps. Wind Blast going through here, doing some nice damage. But now Karl Franz just dove into combat. Karl Franz coming in the mix with Demogryph Knights and more Spearmen pouring in with the War Wagons in range to support. Does not bode well, I think, for Kroq-Gar and his Cold One Spear Riders. There's just too much in here. Yeah, there goes an Earthblood. The Reichland Runefang has been popped. I mean, over here on the left side of the battlefield, the Lizardmen do look like they've done a lot better winning their engagements in the infantry fights. Chameleon Skinks are getting chased by the Royal Outlaw Gryphites right now, though. Looks like the Pterodon Riders may be coming in position for some bombing runs. There they go. Very big hit on top of the Empire State troops. And it looks like the Demogryph Knights are actually taking some serious damage too. War Wagons continuing to fire away. And look at this, the balance of power dead even between these two armies. Playing it very, very well on both players' sides here. Chameleon Skinks firing in, doing a ton of damage to the Royal Outlaw Gryphites. They still have 24 models though, so as long as they get healed here, yep, look at that, there goes an Earthblood. They still have 24 models, meaning they can heal right back up to 100% as long as they keep getting healed. Oh, a Hand of the Gods hitting Karl Franz in the face and actually doing quite a lot of damage. Kroq-Gar isn't out of the meta yet, ladies and gents. You just don't see him too often. Over here, Terror Out kicking in on the Chameleon Skinks. Royal Outlaw Gryphites continuing to get dragged down. Cohort of Sotek pushing forward. We have Kroq-Gar going right after Karl Franz, who's getting a regrowth on top of him. Looks like Kroq-Gar changing his targeting and going after the Royal Outlaw Gryphites, which I like. Eliminate these guys as quickly as you can. They are down to 12 models, so it does look like the Lizardmen are effectively taking him out of this fight. However, as far as the rest of the fight goes, it's a different story. It's very evenly matched, in my opinion. You still have some Saurus Warriors here who should do very well against the Empire State troops. But the problem is these War Wagons are still full models and still have half of their ammunition, half of their ammo left. So half ammo with these guys who can kind of act like crappy chariots in the late stages of the battle is going to be a tough thing for the Lizardmen to overcome. Over here, Karl Franz is also still full health, and he is now murdering the Skink Priest. Don't want to be losing magic at this stage of the battle if you are the Lizardmen player. And, you know, the Lizardmen are making some wins in terms of, like, you know, Royal Outlaw Gryphites, look, they're down for the count. The other Demogryph Knights aren't, you know, looking super healthy either. But as far as that, all of the key units are still in the Empire's favor. They still have their skirmishing forces very healthy. They still have Karl Franz very healthy. They still have their Jade Wizard, which can heal up not only Karl Franz, but these full model War Wagons. So I don't know. I just don't know if Kroq-Gar gets it from here. There go the Chameleon Skinks, though, and here comes some Saurus Warriors with shields. So I don't know. Maybe I'm giving the Empire too much credit here. Over here, Karl Franz, though, now he's in a position that looks to me like he may be able to snipe Kroq-Gar. Got Demogryph Knights on one side of Kroq-Gar. And Karl Franz going in for the rear charge, and it's a smashing rear charge. Earthblood upgraded going down on top of the Empire right there. Kroq-Gar going to start running away. Cold One Spear Riders coming in to countercharge the Demogryph Knights just in the nick of time. And would you look at that, Kroq-Gar may be able to escape with his life, but just barely. And now the Empire troops are getting surrounded. Saurus warriors coming into the fight. Krokar might be able to defeat them. Stand your ground of the Reichland Runefang pop, though, making their leadership very high. Both Chameleon Skinks coming into the mix. War wagons continuing to fire away, but now it is just Karl Franz in a big blob of lizards. Krokar, though, taking a ton of damage, and it looks like he's in a terror rout. And there goes the army losses, and Karl Franz gonna win it with the handy-dandy help from his trusty war wagons. Yeah, the wagons really the MVPs as far as I'm concerned. The Lizardmen not really ever dealing with them in any significant sense, you know, led to that where it's just like, yeah, you can have plenty of infantry in a fight, but if your lord is fighting Karl Franz and getting shot by war wagons, not gonna go the best for you. I don't know if the bombs are the best against a wagon. I think their low model count means the bombs wouldn't be the best, because typically low models don't take the most damage from explosions. Scorecard. Let's update it. We got ourselves a fight, folks. Karl Franz doing God's work over here. I mean, this guy did exactly what he should do, which is take no damage and heal Karl Franz. Other than that, you can see the state troops just kind of bought time. Demogryph Knights really paid off there. And then I stand by, I mean, these war wagons just absolutely pivotal to that build working, and they did beautiful work. But also, like, there was a big misplay there from MaximusDecimus. That moment I referred to as talk about threading the needle was really a risky play in my opinion, and I think it caused him unnecessary losses. You know, he was trying to get them around a Spearman and Demogryph Knights who, you know, had them pinned between literally, you know, a rock and a hard place. So that was just, I think, a decision that really set a lot of momentum in motion for AC Moore to just like kind of ride that to victory after getting some key terror routes and just smashing so much of the cavalry that the Lizardmen desperately needed in the mid and late game. Because yeah, there's no other answer to the war wagons besides the Cold One Spear Riders, in my opinion. Tomb Kings, 4 Tomb Guard. We just saw one of them get moved. 2 Tomb Guard with halberds. We're going to have a single skeleton spearman. And then for some skirmish potential, we're going to have 4 skeleton horse archers. We're also going to be seeing, oh sorry, there's 2 skeleton spearmen, by the way. We're also going to be seeing Cetra the Imperishable and the Sphinx of Usep. Now for Cetra. Also hopefully the sound is okay. Where the hell did you go, Cetra? There you are. He is going to be bringing the Blessed Blade of Tra, the Wrath of Tra, as well as Usep's Incantation of Desiccation, along with Naru's Incantation of Protection, and Unyielding Will. Alright, that rounds out the Tomb King, so let's check out the vampire counts. Now for the infantry here, we're going to have plenty of zombies. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. We're also going to be seeing a healthy flying air force here in the form... Flying air force, that's redundant. 3 units of Fellbats, along with Manfred von Karstein, who we'll come back to in just a moment. Going to see 2 Cryptors. Going to have some Black Knights with Lances and Barding, and the Dire Pack Wolf accompanying them. We are going to be seeing a Mortis Engine, along with a Stearnsman Graveguard, a Necromancer with the Forbidden Rod, and Master of the Dead. And then, other than this, let's take a look at what the Lord has brought. Manfred von Karstein going to be on top of his zombie dragon, as is obviously apparent. We're going to be seeing the Master of the Black Arts, Raised Dead, Invocation of Nehek, Spirit Leech, and then we're also going to be seeing Sword of Unholy Power. I would put my money on the Vultures from the Tomb King Stout Keg, but we'll see what Optimus Pine says. Or maybe it's a trick question. It's the Fellbats because they can be Invocation of Nehect. Alright, both armies marching up to the top of this hill as quickly as they can. Looks like the Vampire Counts may just barely beat the Tomb Kings. I'm not sure, though. I think the Tomb Guard are going to be faster than the Zombies. Indeed, they are by about 5 speed points. Setra getting way out here in the Spirit Leech, but he's going to turn around very quickly. And just as quickly as he got into combat, he's going to get out of combat. Sphinx of Usep coming into play. Skeleton Horse Archers coming out. Looks like Fellbats are trying to get in on top of them to kind of like slow them down. Got our White King here, who I missed, who does have Scab's Wrath. Tomb Guard are not currently facing the rear threat here. Uh-oh, Breath coming in on top of Setra. Oh, a lot of damage going in there. Taking out about 1/5 of his health in one fell swoop. Here comes some summons to disrupt the Tomb Guard in combat. And Setra and the Sphinx of Usep, like right now, Usep's Incantation of Desiccation is in here. That's really just smashing all of the stats for the Vampire Counts in here. Not to mention the Wrath of Tra going down. Right now, those look like the Tomb Kings, for the most part, are successfully defending their back line, but it looks like the Vampire Counts have seized on an opportunity to rear charge the Tomb Guard, and now they have completely isolated the Sphinx of Usep. And if something doesn't come in here to support it very quickly, it will be very bad news for the Tomb Kings. Without the Sphinx of Usep, it's kind of like a linchpin, keystone part of this army. Without it, they're in a lot of trouble. But Vampire Counts have to watch out because now their Fellbats, for the most part, have been dealt with, except for this one. And as soon as these Tomb Guard with Halberds and Skeleton Horseman Archers are not tied up with Fellbats, they're going to start opening fire. And these Halberds are going to make a huge difference in combat against Crypt Whores and Black Knights with Lances and Barding. Over here, Sphinx of Usep somehow still staying strong. Miru's Incantation of Protection going down, giving it that 44% physical resistance. The last unit of Fellbats getting sent into combat, but now the Tomb Guard with Halberds, who have been completely untouched, are getting ready to get into combat. And the Tomb Guard frontline, the 4 Tomb Guard, are doing very well for themselves. As you can see over here, Stearnsman and these Tomb Guard seem to be trading evenly after Setra helped with some nice cycle charging early on there. And back here, the Skeleton Spearmen are holding back the Zombies too. So, I don't know. This is an interesting fight. Over here, it does look like the Dragon is going to do a breath attack on top of the Sphinx of Usep. That is actually going to do some significant friendly fire. Sphinx of Usep, I'm not sure if it applies to the breath attack, if it's fire damage or not. I would have to check the stats there, but if so, the Sphinx of Usep does have significant fire resist. But oh no, some serious damage going down on top of it now. It looks like its lucky RNG is starting to wear off, and now it desperately needs support. One of these Tomb Guard need to get peeled off and sent into this frontline engagement ASAP. Actually, screw it, both of them do. This last unit of Fellbats is just a distraction. These Tomb Guard with Halberds have a limited window of opportunity to dive in here and try to turn the tide of combat. But right now, the Sphinx of Usep is just getting smashed. Oh no. I think the Tomb Kings were just not focusing enough on keeping the Sphinx of Usep alive, and they desperately need that. Setra the Imperishable getting back to safety. Sphinx of Usep down to 1600 HP, 1200, 1100, crumbling out of existence. Crypt Horrors, there it goes. It's shattered. And, oh, what a painful loss. I mean, I suppose the battle isn't over just yet because you still have so many Tomb Guard with halberds. And look at this skeleton spearmen coming into from the other side. Looks like these Black Knights with lances and barding, though, are going to get a beautiful side charge. Mortis Engine going down very badly right now. If the Sphinx of Usep was alive right now, I would be saying this is over for the Vampire Counts. No doubt in my mind. But now we've got a very close match. Balance power clearly favoring the Vampire Counts. Not sure how much I agree with that. There goes the Mortis Engine. A big win for the Tomb Kings. Black Knights back here. Oh, another breath going down on top of Setcher the Imperishable, doing some serious damage. And now we're going to see Manfred diving into combat against him. Naru's Incantation of Protection is going down. 44% physical resistance is nothing to be scoffed at, and there's really nothing in here that does magical damage. But once again, Setcher, just like the Sphinx of Usep, seeming, in my opinion, to get overextended and not playing to the advantage of his infantry. He has these Tomb Guard back here that he just needs to camp out on top of. The Ushapti summon has gone down, but now it just seems like the leadership is too against him and the balance of power is too against him. And I just don't see how he brings it back from here. Setzer the Imperishable still 100% healthy right now. I mean, Manfred von Karstein still 100% healthy right now. Curse my brain and always saying names wrong. Skeleton Horseman Archers firing away at him. Setzer just needs to get the hell out of there. Halberds acting as the final line of defense. You still have some Skeleton Spearmen to get up in here. It's just Setzer is just taking too much damage. Setzer at critical binding. Manfred von Karstein is chasing him down. Black Knights with lances and barding. Taking some serious damage, but the Ushapti summon is about to run out. Oh my god. Manfred saying, nope, not that easy. I'm gonna still get you. Crumbling going down, and Setzer is dead as a doornail. And just like that, MaximusDecimus going to come out with the victory against the Tomb Kings here. And I'm sorry, AC Moore, I had a green skin banner up instead of a Tomb King banner. MaximusDecimus was the Vampire Counts. AC Moore was the Tomb Kings. What do you call undead programmers? I don't know. What do you call them? Script horrors? JavaScript horrors? You Optimus Pine. How many children do you have? Because you have the ultimate dad jokes. Look at this Tomb King army. I mean, I think they had a strong chance of winning there. I think their infantry composition actually was tailor-made to counter this Vampire Count infantry. Like 4 Tomb Guard and 2 halberds. The problem was the halberds were just tied up with fellbats the entire battle. Like, I don't understand why the Sphinx of Usep and Setcher the Imperishable were ever in fights against Crypt Horrors and Manfred without the support of Tomb Guard with halberd and Skeleton Horse Archers. Because, yeah, I mean, if it weren't for that, I don't want to call it a throwaway. I just think an overextension, maybe an estimation of the Sphinx of Usep's capabilities, it just seemed like a throwaway to me. But, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh. It's just, yeah, I think he, across the board, played very well in this series. And this army, I do like a lot. I mean, oftentimes this kind of army I think would suffer against like a Graveguard Great Weapon frontline build, but in this case they were tailor-made to just murder every single zombie on the field, you know. So now let's go ahead and update that scoreboard. MaximusDecimus going to the final to face off against tell cool.